Hi, my name is Jasmyne Stewart, and my speech is about institutional racism in society. I was raised by my grandparents. My grandfather, a dapper and intelligent man, grew up in Northwest Washington, D.C., very well educated, attending Howard University and going on to become a supervisor in the Postal Service. My grandmother from Gastonia, North Carolina, a country girl who left home at age 18 to make a better living for herself in New York City, both met working in the Postal Service. These two people, known as my grandparents, took me in as their own. Growing up, I had the best of both worlds, from my parents who were young and from the experiences of my grandparents. Historically, my perspectives originated from the many stories my grandparents would tell me about their childhood. My grandmother would tell me about life in Gastonia, North Carolina. Growing up, she would reminisce about how her grandmother showed her how to work for rich white folk to keep a little money in her pocket, and how the white folk hated black folk down there. My grandfather, living in Washington, D.C., would talk to me about how important education is and how poor he was coming up. He would say he tried to play big shot, but was so poor, he would have to ask bakers for scraps from pastries left over at the bakery on the way to school. Being an African-American female, these numerous stories that are never forgotten about their past, moreover, are stories that continue to impact my future. The same differences that affected them as people of color, nevertheless, are still here today. Color still plays a factor within society. The experiences my grandparents went through because of their color are a reflection of the indifferences that continue to exist in our criminal justice system. A term that has influenced the foundations of our country, in which our African-American forefathers fought to eliminate, and a term that can mean so many things from biological to historical to cultural, race and its impact on our criminal justice system has its roots in the historical makings of our country. As with our past, white privilege, white supremacy, the few, the rich, are connotations associated with the white race. People of color, poor, black, immigrants, violence, and crime are terms associated with minorities, specifically focusing on the African-American community. But how are these stereotypes reinforced in our society? Why is race the determining factor for most of the discrimination we continue to see? Our country has relied on institutional racism too long. Embedded in our American society, the institutions of slavery and Jim Crow laws were thought to be a solution to our country's deepest problems. Yet, the deepest of all problems lied in the contradiction of America as the land of the free, or the clause written July 4th, 1776 in our Declaration of Independence, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Even as Obama stated in his speech, A More Perfect Union, that we all have different stories, but all have common hopes, which gives insight into the morals of our country, such as the hope for freedom for all, but at the same time, the differences that will continue to eliminate certain groups of people from obtaining equality. In the eyes of author Derek Bell, what did he see as the problem in the space traders? Is it okay to sacrifice the freedoms of one group of people for the success of the larger? Not only for blacks, but institutional racism is a way to keep certain groups of people from making it to the top. From slavery to Jim Crow to immigration laws, institutional racism is embedded in our criminal justice system. Through the disproportionate number of blacks and minorities in prison demonstrated in the Tutuola, Texas operation of 1999, the war on drugs, and the 3 strikes laws are just some of the ways in which racism against minority groups are reinforced in our society. Why are these practices racist? Because institutional racism seeks to latently take freedoms away from the minority population and misleads society into believing that it is helping to solve the problems of our nation. However, it is harming the overall implications of our criminal justice system was built on. Our criminal justice system, as an institution, holds these same beliefs of hope in the American dream, such as fairness, equality, and impartiality. However, class struggles and racial tensions have hindered the overall vision and mission of our criminal justice system. Thank you.